Ciao, sono Anna e questo è My Italian Circle. Welcome to an easy vocabulary lesson for beginners. Today we'll learn how to describe the place where we live in Italian. Vivi in una casa singola o in un appartamento? A che piano abiti? Quante camere da letto hai? Let's see together how to answer this and many other questions. Cominciamo!
Un appartamento in affitto.
Sto cercando un appartamento in affitto. Deve essere nuovo, grande, luminoso, quindi non a piano terra. Deve essere centrale, ma in una zona tranquilla, piena di verde e collegata. Devi avere 3 camere da letto, 2 bagni, una cucina abitabile, una sala grande, un bel terrazzo, cantina garage. Non deve essere arredato e ovviamente deve essere economico. Hai capito cosa sto cercando? Did you understand what I'm looking for? A detached house or a flat? Una casa singola o un appartamento? Do I want it big or small? Grande o piccolo? I'm looking for a flat, un appartamento, and I want it large and with many other features that I will explain in just a minute. But let's start with the types of housing. Casa singola o indipendente? Casa bifamiliare. These two types of houses are also called villetta or villino, especially in real estate ads, negli annunci immobiliari. If our detached house is a traditional house in the countryside, then it's called a casale, farmhouse. If it's in need of renovation, it's often called rustico, so watch out. Looking for a terrace house? It's villetta a schiera. Appartamento is flat apartment. The word for building is edificio, but you can also say palazzo or palazzina if it's small. Fuori dal centro ci sono tanti palazzi moderni in vetro e acciaio. Outside the center there are many modern buildings made of glass and steel. Le spese condominiali di un appartamento in una palazzina generalmente sono basse. The common charges of a flat in a small building are generally low. How do you say block of flats? Condominio.
Abitare, vivere, affittare.
Now, some useful verbs. Our first verb is abitare. I am sure you're already familiar with it. Io abito a Roma, in un appartamento in centro. Michele abita in una casa in campagna. To be precise, abitare is related to the concept of house. Abito in un appartamento al terzo piano. I live in a flat on the third floor. The verb vivere has a broader sense related to all the activities of living, but in everyday Italian it's often used as a synonym of abitare. Io vivo e lavoro a Torino. I live and work in Turin. Sergio vive ancora con i genitori. Sergio still lives with his parents. Vivo in una casa singola in campagna vicino a Bologna. I live in a detached house in the countryside near Bologna. In Italian, the same verb affittare, to rent, is commonly used as meaning dare in affitto, to rent out, or prendere in affitto, to rent. Ho affittato la mia casa al mare a una coppia di turisti spagnoli. I rented my beach house to a Spanish tourist couple. Per le vacanze di Natale voglio affittare un appartamento per tutta la famiglia. For the Christmas holidays I want to rent a flat for the whole family.
A che piano abiti?
Let's talk about the floors of a house. What floor do you live on? A che piano abiti? In our video on numbers, watch it if you haven't, I show this image, explaining how we count floors in Italian. We also posted it on Facebook and got a lot of comments because in some countries people count floors in a different way. In short, Italians count floors like other European countries, such as Germany, France, England. Piano terra or pian terreno, primo piano, secondo piano, and so on. Of course, we use ordinal numbers. The top floor is ultimo piano, the last floor. New Zealand and French Canada count the same way. In the US, in English-speaking Canada and in China, the ground floor is called first floor, so watch out. If you're American and you're looking for an apartment to rent here in Italy, check the floor number carefully. How do you move between floors? By stairs or by lift, con le scale o con l'ascensore.
Dov'è il bagno?
E ora apriamo la porta di una casa. Che stanze troviamo? Let's open the door of a house. What rooms can we find? Well, there's often an entrance hall, entrata or ingresso, especially in somewhat older houses. The kitchen, la cucina, can be abitabile, meaning it's big enough that you can eat in it. Or it can be a cucinotto, a very small kitchen. In modern houses, kitchen and living room are often in one room. In this case, we call the kitchen angolo cottura, especially if it's very small. In large houses, there is a separate dining room. We call it sala da pranzo. But they are not that common nowadays because flats tend to be smaller and spaces are organized differently. The living room is usually called soggiorno. You can also call it salotto or salone, especially if it's big. The word room in Italian is stanza or camera. A flat with 4 rooms has 4 camere. If we mean bedroom, then we can specify camera da letto. A master bedroom is called camera matrimoniale. The study is a studio. The bathroom is called bagno. Large houses often have 2 bathrooms, doppi servizi. You might get lucky and have a separate laundry room, la lavanderia. Io non ce l'ho, I don't have one. Ho un terrazzo, ma non ho un balcone. I have a terrace, but no balcony. If you live in a detached house, then you probably have a taverna, a room in the basement used to entertain friends, often with a bathroom and a kitchenette. A comfortable house must also have a cantina. It means cellar, but it's usually just a room where you put things you don't use often. And of course, a garage for your car. We say it the French way. Finally, we go up. A mansarda is a room on the top floor, large and high enough to live in, while soffitta is the equivalent of cantina, just for storing old stuff. Other useful words. Monolocale, 1 room flat. Mono means 1. Bilocale, 2 rooms flat, and so on. Arredato, furnished. Now, let's read a real estate ad. Leggiamo un annuncio immobiliare.
Nuovo appartamento bilocale arredato al primo piano, composto da soggiorno con angolo cottura, camera matrimoniale, bagno e balcone, completo di cantina e garage. Spese condominiali incluse. €650 al mese.
Now I want to know how many rooms the flat has. If the kitchen is large, what floor it is on, if common charges are included, if I can have my own furniture. Read again and check.
Nuovo appartamento bilocale arredato al primo piano, composto da soggiorno con angolo cottura, camera matrimoniale, bagno e balcone, completo di cantina e garage. Spese condominiali incluse. €650 al mese.
The flat has 2 rooms. It's a bilocale. It has a kitchenette, un angolo cottura. It's on the first floor, al primo piano. Second floor for Americans. Common charges are included, spese condominiali incluse. I can't have my own furniture, è arredato.
La danza delle case.
I will now play you a mix of phrases using this new vocabulary. Test yourself. How much do you understand? Patrons, remember to download the audio track.
Vorrei prendere in affitto un appartamento in centro.
Va bene un trilocale?
Abito in un monolocale con vista sulla cattedrale.
Signora, sono il corriere. A che piano abita?
Questa casa non è un albergo.
Vieni, ti faccio vedere il soggiorno.
Facciamo un aperitivo in terrazza.
Vado a prendere il vino in cantina.
Cerco una casa su 2 livelli con doppi servizi.
La vuoi con il giardino?
Ho visto un casale meraviglioso in Toscana. Lo affittano ai turisti.
Cerco un monolocale arredato vicino al centro.
Non voglio stare in cucina tutto il giorno.
E le spese condominiali sono incluse?
Here we are at the end of this lesson on vocabulary. You can now read a real estate ad and describe your house. As I always say, practice is the best teacher, so listen to the video again, repeat the words, write them down, make your own sentences, and use these new words in order to remember them. If you are one of our top tier patrons, you can download the audio track to maximize your listening time. The next time you come to Italy, you will find the perfect house in no time. Ci vediamo mercoledì prossimo. Ciao!